This is one of the door panels for the rear doors. It's made from 5mm plywood, like many of the wall panels inside the van. So if I want to put some hooks or accessories and screw them in, I need a thicker piece of plywood. So I'm going to glue on the back of this some 1/2-inch plywood and 5mm plywood to back it up, so that in the future I'll be able to just screw into it and I won't have to rebuild it all. I've cut a piece of plywood that I'm going to put up in the top here. That's a 1/2-inch sheet. And another 5mm sheet that will go in the lower half here. And finally, in the bottom, there's a full panel that will fit in right here. That way, once I glue all this together, I won't have a problem with adding some hooks and things in the back door panel. One of the important things is to make sure you take measurements and write those measurements down so you know them in the future, so that I can measure and make sure that wherever I am putting my screws, I am hitting the panels I put in. So I've taken measurements off of these bolts and off the bolts on the top so that I know where those panels are, so that down the line in the future I can hit those when I'm putting some hooks or other accessories in the rear doors. So this has to fit under there. It's got to line up. Alright, now I'll get some small screws and screw that panel in. You know, sometimes when you buy something, a fixture, it comes with some screws. Well, I keep those screws, and they come in real handy for situations like this. I just want to hold this in place so that I can get everything in place and then mark it on the back before I glue it together. And sometimes those screws, they kind of give you free. Sometimes they're terrible. And sometimes you start to put them in and the heads just melt away when you tighten it up, and they're terrible. But for something like this, they're perfect. I can use them and not feel bad about tossing them out later. Alright, that should keep that registered in the spot it needs to be in. And now I've got to try for the next piece, which I said this was 8 inches above these bolts. So I need to draw myself a line 8 inches above that bolt hole. Okay, on this one I wrote 3 inches below top bolt and 2.5 inches in. Alright, let's see. That's what we got. We'll see if it's going to line up properly. And you might ask, why am I putting so many bolts in to see if it fits? Because I surely don't want to glue it all together and then discovered it's not in the right place. Because if I glue this thing together, there's no going back. I'd have to start all over again. And that means that would be a waste of a full sheet of this plywood. And right now, I don't know what's going to happen in the future when you're watching this video, but the cost of wood has skyrocketed. So we take a little bit more care in making sure our measurements are correct. That was successful. And believe it or not, this is the first time I've done that. When you watch YouTube, you never know how many times people have done it over and over and over again before they got it right. But I don't have time for that. I show you guys the raw truth. And that was the first time. So I'm really happy with that. So now I'm going to take it down, trace the back, pull all the screws out, and glue it up. And wait at least a day before I'm sure that that glue is set and final, and I have to do the same thing for the other door panel. All right, it's time to start gluing these up. So I'm going to start with this one first. If you're doing a van build and you don't have one of these little containers, it's called the glue bot. It's excellent. You can put your glue in here and it won't dry up. It'll stay nice and liquid for you. And I'm in Central Florida, so the heat and humidity in my garage is brutal, but this thing continues to work. And don't buy little containers of glue. If you're going to do a van build, buy a whole gallon. It'll be a lot cheaper in the long run. And I've been using Type On 3, and it's amazing stuff. Works really well. So nothing like walking on your work.